続いては Web3 が作り出す人々の暮らしと題しまして、こちら5人の方にパネルディスカッションをしていただきます。それではご入場ください。Ubox CEO 大田俊様、オーダリーネットワークコーファウンダー CEO ランリー様、Zebec & Nautilus チェーンビジネスデベロップメントリードロレンゾ様、Conflux 創設者Yuanjie様、Chingari App 創設者兼代表取締役Sumit Ghosh様、以上5人の皆様です。今一度拍手をお願いいたします。それではお願いします。
Thank you everyone. Good afternoon. So we are here to discuss Web3 and how Web3 is going to change the lives of people. So before we start, I'm Sumit. I'm the founder of Chingari. It's a Web3 app, social media app based out of India. And I would like the other panelists to introduce themselves one by one, and then maybe they can also, once you introduce yourselves, you can also maybe talk about how your project is in this Web3 space and what it is going to change lives of people in the Web3 space.
Sure. Hi, good afternoon. So my name is Yuan. I'm co-founder of Conflux network. So Conflux is a layer 1 POW-based public chain. So its most innovative breakthrough is it improves the capacity to 100 times of that in Ethereum and also lower the cost even more than that. So basically, it has enable two things that we believe that we help the mass adoption in the Web3. One thing is because the team originated from China and Hong Kong, so we will bring in stablecoins other than US dollars, which will mainly be Hong Kong dollars and offer yuan, which is RMB, stablecoins into the blockchain world. So it helps settlements, especially given China is the world's largest import and export country. It will help for trading partners to use Hong Kong dollars and offer RMB stablecoins to solve their trade demands. But also it injects liquidity from China and Hong Kong into the crypto world to becoming a buying power. So maybe the next market is from the east, mysterious powers. The other part of Conflux is it also helps business who wants to do business with traditional enterprises and ordinary users who are used to cell phone numbers, logins, who are used to email logins, who are used to paying fiat into the crypto world. So we have practice in China that allow users to using fiat to buy NFTs and also using their emails and cell phone numbers to log in, but at the same time to put their private keys and numeric words in safety and allow them to export. So a pure Web3 experience, but much friendlier way of onboarding users. And we also want to move that business models into Japan and Korea and maybe Singapore and the rest of the world. Thank you.
Hey everyone, happy to be here. So my name is Lorenzo. I'm the BDD at Zebec and Nautilus. So Zebec is a payroll / payments token management app that started on Solana, and now we've migrated to a couple other chains. And since last October, we've also decided to launch our own base layer chain called Nautilus. And so we're using Eclipse, which is the modular rollup stack to build this. And we're currently on testnet, hopefully on mainnet in a couple of months. So yeah, to answer the question, I mean, for the payroll app, it's obviously permissionless, so anyone can use it. We have a lot of companies using it to pay employees in crypto, service providers, really anyone. So it's really using the crypto rails, and now we've added a crypto card, so you can on-ramp those funds directly from the app, and you can buy anything. So even for people that are not really native to Web3, they can just really use the app with stable coins and be able to get paid and buy anything. In terms of the chain, we're obviously using roll-up stuff because we wanted to make it very cheap so we can onboard as many type of projects, DeFi, gaming, NFTs, really anything, and obviously to onboard as many users as possible. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rand, co-founder of Quarterly Network. My second time in Tokyo, great to be here. So what we want to do at Orderly is to empower the next generation of builders that can service their users in a permissionless and transparent way via decentralized trading. So we're a DeFi project. So imagine decentralized finance, all on chain, completely transparent with Web3 tokenomics that rewards early contributors and where all the economics goes to contributors and users. And that's what we're building today at Orderly. We have about 40 people around the world. And one of our latest investors is actually Nomura from Japan, who came in as a strategic investor this year. So it's great to be here. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm JJ and I'm the CEO of the Ubox. Ubox is a totally new NFT marketplace in mainland, and we focus on the Asia culture. And we just launched 1 month, and we already have 100K users, and all the NFT price rise and at least 5 times. So I think Japan has a very strong community about NFT, about IPs, and we think Asia is master the Web3 the future. So I come to Tokyo and to this event. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So I think we have an amazing panel of founders and project representatives here. Who just spoke about what their project does, what they're going to do to advance Web3 and get it to the next couple of maybe million users, hundreds of millions of users. So my next question is around there has been a lot of discussions around like good tokenomics in Web3 projects. And we have also seen how these play to earn games, a lot of like play to earn games or engage to earn games, they quickly get popular, and then because of I would say bad economics or sometimes even economics, where early adopters get paid, earn a lot of money, and then the late adopters or late users into the games or apps, they don't realize the value which early adopters got. So what are you guys doing in your respective projects to avoid this situation? And like how do you see this going forward? How do you see the tokenomics evolving into fair tokenomics or good tokenomics going forward in your respective projects?
Sure, yeah. So I guess Sami has used examples for GameFi projects specifically that eventually collapsed because they use on the later commerce to pay the early commerce, and a lot of users get into the games not for the purpose of entertainment, but for the purpose of money making. So it's okay to make money on crypto games, but if it's the pure purpose of doing the game, eventually it will collapse. It doesn't matter tokenomics is designed. Because if everybody in the game is a Soros, they don't care about the quality of the game, but they only buy low and sell high, eventually the game's collapse. It doesn't matter what game it is. Okay? So Conflux itself is a layer 1, it's not a game, so we don't have that mechanism to make sure that people can make money on Conflux, but it's actually positioned itself as an infrastructure, so we want people to use it as a low cost. And if people use it as a very low cost, and then when people use it, eventually it kind of leads to deflation, that eventually will help the token itself to increase. And for layer 1 tokens, it has a lot of scenarios, use cases for its tokens, right? Firstly, it's gas, right? Everybody uses gas, and also for NFT issues, we have tokens, collaterals, and burning mechanisms. So that means if you issue NFTs in Conflux, mainnet, you have to collateral Conflux tokens and also burn part of it. Eventually, if there are enough NFT issue every year, the Conflux token burn will actually offset the inflations from the POW and the POS inflation. And also there are other cases where lock up Conflux token like in short terms, let's say DeFi's or NFTs traded in Conflux token itself. But sometimes such DeFi games are not sustainable because people come in for high APRs, but when the token issue itself, the APRs drop and a lot of circulation of those DeFi protocols has been out there. Eventually, the TVL will run away, and the locked tokens will get out and become dumping power in the market. So you have to look for sustainable models, and for us, it's actually really to populate and bootstrap, stable coins of CNH and Hong Kong dollars, which could be used in the trading scenarios other than US dollars. So that will become a unique and cornerstone of DeFi in Conflux. And it doesn't matter whether the APR is low or high for those DeFi protocols, but there are always people using Hong Kong dollar and offshore RMBs for trade purposes. So that's how we look at it. And hopefully in this scenarios, some Conflux tokens are used in such DeFi protocols for lending, borrowing, and trading and liquidity purposes. It will lock up Conflux tokens in a more modest but also sustainable way. So that's how we think about it. Thanks.
Yeah, so to answer the question, Zebec, we have a fee burn mechanism, so it's pretty common. I think the more general question is, I think it depends really if it's an app, if it's a layer 1, it depends if it's dual tokenomic, if it has only one token. So there are really a lot of open questions, I would say. And really, if you look at the space, we just had Ethereum, which is the second biggest token asset, change its tokenomic with the fee burn like this past year. So really, I think we have to be able to iterate on the errors, and keep be open-minded. I do think it also has to do with kind of the token value pool mechanism. Like it's all tied up. So are you doing fee burn? Is it revenue share? How are you doing that? I think a lot of open questions, but we're advancing. I think we have more and more answers, and generally, I'm pretty bullish on fee burn or either revenue share for a lot of these L1s, but we'll see.
All right. Sure. Yeah, token economics is, I think, extremely important in any crypto project with a token that most founders actually don't spend enough time on, especially, I think, Web2 founders. So we spend an extensive amount of time on tokenomics, and with our previous, the company that incubated Orderly is called Wu, which is a top 100 CMC token with daily volumes of 30, 50, sometimes 100 million, and we spend a lot of time on tokenomics. I think there's a few pieces. One is purely internal, and one is actually external in terms of tokenomics. Internal is kind of what's been mentioned. I think there has to be an emphasis on giving tokens to the right people and not to the wrong people. Hence, excess amounts of farming and inflation to people who will sell the token or in purely for speculation is not healthy, right? So perhaps delayed mechanisms like the VE model, the escrow model for slowly releasing tokens to contributors. And then the contributors should not just stake their tokens and get a reward just for staking their tokens. They should contribute in some way, and hence they're working for the tokens, and there's more loyalty and value contributed back to the ecosystem. At the end of the day, we're trying to get tokens to the people who are really adding value to the ecosystem, and hopefully they're holding it and they're getting rewarded for adding value, and then the network grows and it's very sticky, and that's what kind of makes the ecosystem, the network thrive. So really good tokenomics, even on simple products, can actually work really well. It doesn't have to be a super complex product. And then the other component is the external component, right? So for tokenomics, it's not just about the internal utilities, unless there's a critical mass of users who are using the token. But in terms of getting other communities involved with your token, whether it's through partnerships, through AMAs, through token listings, right? Obviously, a Binance listing helps the token a lot through liquidity pools on various DEX protocols, having cross farming with other DEXs that can encourage more token holders to the token, and additional token utility outside of your product is actually very beneficial for the token. So I think it's an all-encompassing aspect of tokenomics internally and externally, plus the go-to-market, that really affects how the token will perform and whether the right people have the token at the end of the day.
Okay. Everyone knows that token economics is the key of the Web3 project. But there's something very tricky. First of all, tokenomics shouldn't to be didn't change, because if you are a startup company, the tokenomics shouldn't as same as the big company. The first one, and the second one is how to define your the customer's value. So at the beginning, maybe your customer create a lot of value, but you can give some lower priced token. But at the end of the, maybe he can create less value, but you give a lot of token. It is not fair. So some friends knows I used to be the listing of the hobby project groups. So I know a lot of the project. They are very good project, but they fail at the token economics. So I didn't have token in our project Ubox. I prefer to use the NFT to replace some token. For example, you are the creator, and maybe I give some right for the NFT, but not just give you a token, because token NFT has some more replace to use it, but token only you let it. That's I think. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so like designing good tokenomics, adding feedback mechanisms, and like as Rand mentioned, doing interesting stuff within the app to ensure that you have like loyal users. Let's move to the next question. So this is a little controversial. So Web3 has often been dismissed. Like Elon Musk put a tweet saying that Web3 is a fad, or where can I find Web3? And then Jack Dorsey replied between A and Z, which is which actually shows that a lot of Web3 projects have been like massively like already being invested by VCs, and they control a lot of these Web3 projects. And we actually saw a real world example where in a Uniswap vote between Wormhole and Layer 0, two VCs actually fought that which product should be used, and the community was not really allowed to play its role, which is against the very ethos of Web3. So is Web3 a fad, or does it really exist? What you guys as Web3 builders or Web3 communities, what's your thought process? What do you think should be the role of VCs in enabling Web3, and like what should be the responsible role of VCs in enabling Web3s? And as founders, how should we play our role in making sure that the Web3 is actually the dream and vision of Web3 is actually being realized? Let's start with you.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about VC roles in our project specifically. So because we originate from Hong Kong and China, many VCs investing in Conflux are like so-called China, like Baidu Ventures, Primitive Capital, and like even Kuaishou, like a kind of a TikTok competitor in China. But they are all famous internet companies and VCs in China. Well, unfortunately, in the last 5 years since our inception, because the China policy has cracked down until the Hong Kong repositioned itself as a crypto center, people are very pessimistic on Chinese founder projects. So most of our investors just dumped tokens of Conflux itself. So from the peak to low, like Conflux has dropped over 98%, and over 35% of the investors have dumped Conflux tokens in exchange hands until like the beginning of this year. The community start to pick up Conflux. The team is hardworking, and Hong Kong will represent itself as crypto center. There will be stable coins of offshore RMB and Hong Kong dollars. Which chain they're going to select? And people and community feel it should be Conflux, it should be us. So then the price start to rebound. So to be honest, VCs in our projects, they be remaining silent and selling tokens all the way long and hurt all the retail investors. That's the bad experience I had with VCs. But I had to we gotta thank them because they provide us with the capital to build this project. But unfortunately, except money and capital, they didn't provide much help. And because of policy stuff, they even don't vote. So they don't even participate in governance at all. We ask them to participate in board meetings or board member. They say, hey, don't mention us. We don't want to be your board members, right? Just let us make money quietly and let us exit. So it's very bad. So I know like A16Z and maybe like Polychain, maybe like 3 Arrows, which already died. They may be battlers, but at least they're active. So gradually, some of Western investors start to get into us, right? Like DWF, which is a kind of a Swiss registered Russian ad, and Brand Power, like US. So I would say, actually a lot of people, retail investors, they help us along the way. They have been encouraged and confidence to persist and insist on Conflux, not to give up, not to quit. A lot of people just pat me on the shoulder, hey, you will have your time to shine once the policies start to change, and this is our time. So I would say, yeah, it's quite a complex experience, but VC didn't help much. So I guess if people help much, then people should be rewarded, or the community should be rewarded the most. But that's the landscape. I look forward to how these things will move along forward. Thanks.
Yeah. So I think the real question is what's kind of the alternative, right? And we've seen like ICOs in 2017, and it didn't work. And so I do think there's a lot of work that needs to be done and that can be done in terms of transparency, like during the fundraising process and afterwards. So what are the vesting schedule? What's the unlocks? What's the percentage of tokens that they earn? So I think there's a lot that can be done there. In terms of the proposals and voting mechanisms, I would say it's probably same as tokenomics. Like we don't have a clear answer right now, but clearly like linear voting doesn't work. So I mean, there's been all other ideas, but yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done also on that front.
So we have really good VCs that we work with, and some poor ones, right? And I think we're very fortunate to have some of the best backers in the space. We were rather picky. We raised at the end of the bull market, and we have backing from Pantera, Jump Capital, Dragonfly, Sequoia, some of the best investors in the space. Of course, Nomura from Japan, and we try to work with VCs who try to help us, right? So who can support. It's not just about financial. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, the good projects usually don't really need the capital. There's capital, sitting at the door. It's more about the support, and again, it's about who you want your token or your equity to go to that can help you grow as an ecosystem, which is what we sought after. So for Orderly, we care about builders. So we have like Radium, Dodo, Kobo. These are guys who are builders, and then we have the market makers, so Jump, Amber, GSR. They're the ones providing liquidity for us. And then we have the holder and the brand name VCs that kind of help us, like Pantera helped us a lot on tokenomics in marketing. C Squared helped us a lot in introduction, BD, marketing in general. So these are very helpful VCs. Dragonfly that really supports us. And these are kind of the ones that you want. I would think it's common sense, but then in terms of fundraise, ideally you want the strategic guys instead of pure capital. With Nomura, we're trying to work with them on the institutional DeFi front. They're quite aggressive in investing in all types of DeFi infrastructure, and we really want to open up the doors for institutions to get into DeFi via permission order books and such. And we actually have an investment arm as well. So if you are a builder, or if you need liquidity in some form for either like a DEX, a swap, a social app, you can always come and chat with me. We provide a lot of support for projects who are building with us in terms of just capital marketing, BD, anything.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, like your view as well.
We think there are no good VC, there are only suitable VC. For us, C Squared Capital is the only VC for us because we know each other for many years. We know what we need, and we know what's the business model, and we know the market. Even the founder of C Squared Capital, she recommended her sister to join our company, so that's 100% reliable. So we think the more suitable, more reliable is the most important. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for sharing your views on various topics around Web3 VCs for comments. And thanks for all of you to be in this, to be an amazing audience in this panel. Thank you everyone. Thanks.
ありがとうございました。森の皆様に Web3 が作り出す人々の暮らしをテーマにお話しいただきました。以上をもちまして、午前中のプログラム終了となります。